Hello, all my wargamers. As promised, today I am going to bring you my very first competitive Custodes list. I'm going to talk you through all the roles that the individual units are meant to fulfill. And I'm going to explain why I built it this way, because there's some real tricks to building list. If you guys watched my video, which maybe I'll link below, actually I don't think I will because it's a little outdated, but I did a video in 9th edition when I was talking about list building rules. The trick with building list, there's a lot of tricks with building list, and so what I'm going to do is I kind of pre-filled out my sheet where I have requirements for why you put units into an army. For this one, I'm going to explain why every single unit is there, what their individual purposes are, and then in a future video, maybe in about a week or so, because I got a lot of stuff coming out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually break down the different utility roles that every single unit can have in your army, and I'm going to teach you why you include certain units in your army. Like, for example, you might have a very efficient unit that is very good at killing things or very good at holding an objective, and you might not take it because it might not fit the build of your specific army. So I'm going to go through that all and more in today's list, where we're talking about the Adeptus Custodes, the Golden Boys. Let's see what we got. I'm going to go straight into the PowerPoint, and we're going to get rolling. There we go. Let's see it. If you guys enjoy this content, please give me a like, give me a subscribe. I work really hard on these, and I think it's going to bring a lot of value to all of you as you're going to be going through your journey of crushing 10th edition of Warhammer 40,000, which, even though the launch, there's a lot of exploits, and it kind of looks like a dumpster fire, I promise you this will be the single best edition of 40K ever. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but that's not this video. This video, we're talking about the Adeptus Custodes. Let's look at the list here. Voila! All right, so I am at 1995, so 1,995 points for my list. And basically, here's the structure of it. My warlord will be Trajan Valoris because he has to be the warlord. And as you see in parentheses, I have here a few words that are written. I've got primary and tank. So the reason why I detailed this is I had to determine, why do I take Trajan Valoris? What is the purpose of including him in my list and, say, not a shield captain? Because the shield captain is 25 points cheaper. So why would I take Trajan? Well, I take him because his job is going to be to attach to a unit and hold the primary and to tank freaking damage. Because when you charge his unit, he's going to make them fight first once. And that's going to make it very hard to shift his unit. And when we talk about where he's actually going to be attached in the army list, you'll see why that is. So then my second character is going to be the Blade Champion. And I did give him the enhancement Ceaseless Hunter. What Ceaseless Hunter does is it gives us the ability to fall back and charge. And one thing that you guys are probably going to notice in this game really quickly is that in 10th edition, fall back and charge is one of the strongest abilities in the entire freaking game. And the reason for this is pretty simple. It is very challenging to do your pile-ins and get your consolidates correct. Combat movement is super hard now. It's not easy. It's going to cause a lot of arguments at the table because it is not clear how to make sure everything is done correctly. It's going to take a lot of time, and people are it's going to cause issues. I really hope it actually gets FAQ'd. But if it's not, you need fallback and charge, because what that does is it gives you the ability to get your unit disengage and then re-engage in a significantly more advantageous position for your second or third round of combat. You don't want to be stuck in combat and not be able to move because your pile-in can't bring you closer to the enemy unit. You need that combat movement, and fallback and charge gives you that combat movement. It's unbelievably powerful. Not to mention, once per game, it's going to give them the ability to move 6 inches when the enemy moves within 9 inches of them. So this can go to block a charge. This can go to actually force a charge that they don't want to make. It can cause a lot of problems for them. So you're really going to want Ceaseless Hunter on someone. I'm putting on the Blade Champion. And the reason why I have delivery here in parentheses is because his job is to deliver a unit into combat. The Blade Champ isn't the character assassin that he used to be. He's not the guy who's going to run out in Shadow Keepers and ignore invulns and characters and cause it to have a 6-inch heroic intervention on his own. In 9th edition, he was the best trading piece in the game, but now in 10th edition, he's an amazing delivery piece because he's going to let us re-roll our advances and re-roll our charges. So that's his job. His job is to deliver. Now, my last of the Custodes characters is going to be the Captain in Terminator Armor. His jobs, he's going to score secondaries, he's going to kill things, and he's a rapid response unit because chances are really high that he'll be attached to a Terminator unit in Deep Strike. So I can deploy them wherever I really need them. And Terminators kill a lot because they're essentially guaranteed rerolls against anything they're shooting, because they're or hit fighting, because they reroll against monsters, characters, and vehicles innately. Their wound rolls is what I'm talking about. And remember, if a character is attached to a unit, that is a character. So they essentially get full wound rerolls against everything. So they actually have a crazy amount of damage output. So that is the Captain Terminator Armor's ability. Not to mention, he's also going to give me a little CP regeneration. So maybe I should add this as well. CP generation, because he essentially lets you use stratagems for free. So I'll just put CP generation here as well. Okay, so then we'll get into the bulk of the army. So the bulk of the army, I have the Custodian Guardians with spears, okay? This is a huge unit. It is a 9-man unit. There's 8 with spears, and then there's going to be 1 with a Vexilla and a shield. I thought long and hard about, do I give the Vexilla a shield or a Misericordia? I went with shield because I know for a fact that on this unit, I'm at least once per game going to use the 1 CP regenerate a Custodian stratagem. So I figured maybe in an important moment, I can tank 2 damage 3 shots on this one guy with a shield, and then later on, I'll resurrect him with a stratagem, which will return my OC3. But you definitely want the Vexilla in the Guardian squad, because when the Guardians control the objective, they get full wound rerolls in melee against anything. Or full wound rerolls, period. It's not just in melee, it's full wound rerolls, and that is so powerful in this edition. So you want to be able to control those objectives. So you do want the Vexilla to get that OC3. So yeah, then there's 8 of them with all spears. Guys, if you're running Custodes, all spears all the time. Axes do not match up. Ren or AP1 is not good, especially when stratagems like Armor Contempt to make the enemy an addition or -1 AP. It just sucks. So unfortunately, the axe just doesn't hold up. So it is the spear. Luckily, when you're getting full wound rerolls, you don't really care about that strength 9 of the axe. So it's awesome. Spears are the way to go. All right. This unit of Custodian Guardians is going to have the Blade Champ attached to them, because I have this huge block that's going to be rerolling the advance rolls, which means they're going to be really fast. They're going to be rerolling charge rolls, and then 1 phase per game, they're going to get that super sweet advance and charge. The beauty of that is that the advanced charge is declared in the beginning of the charge phase. So you don't have to declare it in the beginning of the turn, get a crappy advance, and then be like, pray that maybe you can get this charge off. No, you can wait to see that you got the correct advance you want. So super, super strong. They're going to get in combat with the Blade Champ, especially if you move close to them and you give them free movement as well. They're going to be fast as heck, and they're going to smack really, really hard in melee. And then once they smack really, really hard in melee, even if you have them tied up, they're just going to fall back and charge again for the next turn. So amazing unit. I love it. Then we are having 1 more unit of Custodian Guardians with spears. So these guys have the parentheses primary and secondary. Why? Because their job is to hold primary and their job is to score secondary. And there's a lot of secondary. I'm always taking tactical with this list, by the way, unless there's just some crazy matchup like, I don't know, demons that are monster mashed. But you're essentially always going to be running tactical missions. So they're going to be scoring all those tactical missions that require you to take, like, I don't know, a no man's land objective or something like that. They can also still kill pretty dang hard. Now, their unit leader is going to be Lord Inquisitor Kyria Draxus, and I'm going to talk about that right now, so I'm skipping ahead. Lord Inquisitor Kyria Draxus is extremely strong. She gives you the ability in your command phase to roll a 2-up. If you roll a 2-up, her unit cannot be targeted by shooting outside of 18 inches. This allows me to have a unit in my deployment zone, or maybe my deployment zone sucks, and I really just have to put a unit in a crappy position where they're going to get seen. Done. No problem, because you still can't shoot them anyway. It also allows me to leave them out in the open on an objective and keep them relatively safe from most firepower. It's an amazing ability. So Lord Inquisitor Kyria Draxus freaking rocks, and I think she's going to be in or more or less every single Custodes list I make. Things obviously could change in the future, but for right now, for 75 points, huge bonus. So she's going in that second unit of Custodian Guardians with spears. Then my next unit is going to be this big block of Alaris. All right, these Alaris, and I actually made a little typo here. So these Alaris is a big 5-man, okay? This big 5-man is going to have spears, and then they're going to be having 1 with a Misericordia and a Vexilla, okay? The Misericordia and the Vexilla is unfortunate. I really wish you could take a spear and a Vexilla, but you know what? You need that 3-up OC, because sometimes you have to take that objective, and 4 other guys with spears is still going to be 20 attacks, hitting on 2s, chances are exploding 6s, because you're almost always going to take sustained hits in the army. So it's going to be 20 attacks, 20 hits, and then you're going to be wounding most things on 4s or 3s with full rerolls. So you're essentially going to get full wounds. And if you're going into vehicles, you're going to be wounding on 5s and 6s with full wound rerolls. So it still hits really, really hard. The AP 2, damage 2, they're going to kill basically anything they touch in. Their firepower is immense. They have tons of the grenade launchers. All of them are grenade launchers, and then 4 of them still have the spears. And then you couple with the fact that you still have the captain in there who's also hitting with 7 attacks in melee. This unit can kill basically anything. They're super rapid response because they can deep strike in. They can rapid ingress in, which they almost always rapid ingress in. And then once per game, they can actually redeploy. So let's say they rapid ingress in my opponent's turn. In my turn, they move, charge, kill something, and then after my opponent's next turn, I'm just going to pick them up off the board and redeploy them somewhere else on the field where they're desperately needed again. Super, super valuable. Then I've got another unit of Alaris with 3 spears. Now, these guys don't have a Vexilla. That's okay. These guys are just 3 spears. I call these guys secondary and flex. So their job is to score secondaries, and they're flexible. So 3 Terminators is enough to freaking kill a unit of something. 3 Terminators is enough to tie someone up. It's enough of a threat to make people move differently. So they're a flexible unit. I can use them for multiple roles. They're not great at holding primary. They're not great at killing their target, but they have the ability to do almost anything. So that's why I give them that flex role. That's really important. Now I've got a unit of Custodian Wardens. This is a 6-man block. Let me put down 6 right here. They've got 6 spears. Now, Custodian Wardens are a little bit different than Guardians and our Terminators. So the Vexilla here can actually keep his spear. It's weird, but that's the way I think it should be anyway. So it's super cool. So you get 6 Custodian Wardens. Custodian Wardens, unlike in the previous edition, are actually your least killy units. But that's not their job. Their job is not to kill. Their job is not to score really secondaries. Their job is to hold a primary and tank whatever the game throws at them for a turn. When you get 6 Wardens and you drop them in the middle, because sometimes you have to have a unit holding a middle objective that is exposed, and you just have to be able to do it. So these Wardens, that's their job. You're going to park them on that middle objective. You're going to hopefully have them in cover. Trajan's going to be with them. In the your opponent's shooting phase, your opponent's going to know that they have to kill the Wardens, because when they try to charge the Wardens, Trajan's going to make them fight first. And even though the Wardens don't get reroll wound rolls in melee, they're still hit pretty hard, and Trajan hits really hard too. So they do not want the Wardens to fight first. So they have to soften these guys up. And they're going to unload a crazy amount of Hellfire into them. So what you, as the cunning Adeptus Custodes player, will do is you are going to make them -1 damage for 2 CP. And then you're going to activate their once per game 4-up Feel No Pain. And you're only going to do, and the trick is that you have to know that that is the unit that's going to be targeted. So typically, the way I'm going to be running this is I'm going to make sure the Wardens are the only unit that's even a viable target for my enemy. So they have to pour everything into them. So I'm going to drop them right in the middle, right in the open, going to make sure no one else is exposed except for Kyria Draxus' unit, but they can't shoot Kyria Draxus' unit because of her ability. And then I'm going to activate my 4-up Feel No Pain at the beginning of the shooting phase. Remember, you have to do it at the beginning of the phase before, the shots are actually declared. At that point, they're -1 damage with a 2-up armor save, most likely in cover, and they're also going to have a 4-up invuln. They're going to have a 4-up Feel No Pain, all at -1 damage, and a 4-up against mortals. These guys will not die. You will not kill it. I don't really... honestly, I think that tanks a Wraith Knight, which is kind of crazy to say, but that's nuts. You're not going to kill that unit. And then what happens is maybe you get 1 Warden if you have a lot of firepower, maybe 2 if you have crazy firepower. And then Trajan's going to be right there. So when you charge in, Trajan's going to make them fight first. And it doesn't matter that they've blown their once per game Feel No Pain, because they're going to slaughter half of anything that charges at them. So then they're going to hold that primary. So it's a really strong unit. I don't think you need 2. I think you need 1 as a Custodes player, because you have to have a unit that can survive at least once. And that's what they're going to do. And then lastly, I've got a flex unit here. I've got the Eversor Assassin. This is maybe a little bit of a strange pickup for a lot of people. Some people might not understand this one. Custodes, we don't have a unit that can just go and deal with a stupid freaking Lictor that's holding behind enemy lines for the Tyranid player. So this is my Eversor Assassin. He's got the 9-inch scout move. You can give him advance and charge. You can give him sustained hits 3. You can give him a lot of things. So this guy has the ability to go in and just crush a squad. He has the ability to move fast into a different direction than what the rest of your army is doing and deal with it. He's not necessarily the toughest, but he is a lone operative, which means your enemies will not be able to shoot them outside of 12 if you play around it pretty correctly. So, and he's only 75 points, and we're kind of starved for points as Custodes. So I was looking at, what do I do? Do I take another Alaris Terminator to make that a 4-man? Which, actually, you can't take a 4-man, so never mind. Do I take another extra Custodian Guard or two? No, you take a freaking Eversword, because this dude is going to have a lot of flex into your list. Now, this could be another Assassin, too. You could take him as a Calexis. I don't think you can do a Custodes, because I think they're a little too expensive. But it could be a, what's the sniper guy? Crap. Vindicare Assassin. Maybe you could run him as well. But I'm going to go with the Eversword. He has an assassin. He can go in and kill. He can nuke a unit. He can nuke an annoying character. He can score secondary by being where you need him to be. He's just a flexible unit, so he's going to round out the army. So this is my first army. It's 1995. Now, I highly encourage all of you guys to go ahead and make sure that when you're making your list to add these little qualifiers for why it is in your list. It's super important. And in the future, I'm going to make a video on how to actually put all of these qualifiers in on your army. And actually, if you guys want, what I want you to do right now is just go into the comment section and just leave me a comment if you want me to take a look at your list, so I can help you fit the mold. And maybe I'll bring you on and we can talk about your list as I'm trying to teach other people how to properly structure army lists for Warhammer 40,000. Let me know if you like that idea. If you don't like that idea, let me know. Please do me a favor. Hit that like, subscribe button. I work really hard on these. I hope this is really beneficial for you. I promise you, if you start filling out these matrices, you start thinking, okay, my job is to score primary. Can I score secondary? Yeah, but my job is to hold primary. It's going to make you a much better player and make your list way, way stronger. So let me know how you liked it, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and make some dinner for tonight. I think this is my second video upload for today, but I'm really, really loving the support and appreciation out there. So I'm 100% going to keep on bringing this stuff to you. Have a great night, everyone. And until next time, happy crumping, my beautiful Wargamers.